Hey all, Michelle Raza here with the Finding Yourself Book Club, and today we're going to be talking about John Gottman's What Makes Love Last. If you've been following along, if you're a subscriber and you saw videos pop up about Lindsay Gibson's Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents, it took a bit of a deviation, and I'm actually going to be posting one and then one. So hopefully, if you're a fan of one but not the other, just skip every other video. Hopefully you like both though. Both authors have so much to give, and it's all interrelated. So a lot of Gottman's works focus around relationships and romantic partnerships, but his early work actually focused on parent-child relationships. And so after we finish Lindsay Gibson's second book, and also this book that we'll be covering today, then I'm going to go over one of Gottman's books about raising emotionally intelligent children. So very cool stuff here. If you haven't had a chance, please do check out our website. We're at www.findingyourselfsatx.com. Wow, sorry, it's bright in here. There you can take our life balance questionnaire or just fill out a contact form and we'll be in touch. I'm actually going to pause the video and make sure. No, I do have my light on. It's just very bright in here, so I'm like squinting. Okay, so we were talking about Oscar and Mercedes and the beginning of their State of the Union conversation. And so today we're going to talk about the next step. So after the initial understanding, when both of you have heard each other and repeated back to the point where, so Mercedes understands that Oscar knows what she's trying to say, and vice versa. Oscar understands that Mercedes hears him and knows what he's trying to say. So that very first step is where both of you feel heard and understood. They still haven't solved anything though. It sounds like it. If you were listening in the previous video, it sounds like they've already resolved everything. So this takes it one step further, and that's why this conversation does feel, when you're first starting to practice it, right? It's not a normal conversation. It's very formulaic, and it is a bit tedious, but it's to help you get through your messes. That's why the chapter is called Working Through Your Messes, Big and Small. Okay, the next step. Persuasion and problem solving. When you both feel heard and understood, you begin to negotiate your differences. Throughout this process, remain open to your partner's influence, but do not over-compromise. When problem solving doesn't work, it is often because at least one partner agrees to give up too much and then reneges. To avoid this mess, start by identifying your core needs to ensure that you and your partner are clear on what concessions you cannot make. I recommend that couples write down these needs and draw a circle around them. For example, I cannot live far from my family. I have to exercise every day. Try to keep this list very short by including only needs you know are essential to your happiness and therefore the relationship's success. Use I sentences to describe these non-negotiables so your partner does not feel criticized or coerced. I need us to spend more time socializing with others expresses a core need, whereas I need you to be more outgoing is a criticism. So it's again the you versus I language. Just try to avoid you if at all possible. Next, draw a much larger circle around the first one. Inside, list any aspect of your position that you can modify. Although you cannot compromise on the need itself, perhaps you can bend on some specifics, such as the timing, location, or methods used to achieve your goal. I can live with going out every other weekend. I can switch to a closer gym so I can get home sooner. The solutions you arrive at won't be as obvious as these examples. If they were, you wouldn't need this process to resolve the conflict. Expect a great deal of struggle back and forth as you search for ways to weave each other's areas of compromise into an approach that you can both accept. Be open to your partner's creative suggestions. The process can take a long time, but I have seen couples succeed even when their core needs seemed incompatible. After years of living in the suburbs, Pam wanted to spend her retirement years in the city, but her husband, Mike, had long dreamed about them sailing the world together. By focusing on their areas of compromise, they came up with a solution they could both endorse. They would spend 2 years sailing and then 2 years living in New York. After that, they would see where they stood. There are circumstances that can prevent successful compromise. If it turns out that one person's dream is truly the other's nightmare, there is not a way forward. In a typical case, only one partner wants to have children. Couples usually cannot bridge this difference, and sometimes probably should not. But by using the blueprint to sort this out, you can end the relationship with a clear understanding of why you each needed to move on. In most relationships, though, this process does lead to a compromise. It may take more than one meeting to reach an accord. You'll need time to consider your partner's position and all the options you've discussed. Here's how Mercedes and Oscar used the blueprint to work out their disagreement over their daughter, Lydia. Mercedes: okay, now let's move on to persuasion. Let's see, 2 circles. Okay, in my inner circle, what I can't be flexible about is you're talking to Lydia about you having responsibility in part for our conflicts, and that we are working on them in therapy and making progress. And second is for you to at least talk to Uncle Ted about how Lydia created a lot of this gulf between us by blaming me for our conflicts, taking your side, and you relishing that. Oscar: okay then, what are you flexible about? Mercedes: I am flexible about you not having to talk to everyone in the family about my being a good mom, just Ted, and I am flexible about when you talk to Lydia, as long as it's before the birthday party. Oscar: okay, that's totally reasonable. I am inflexible about you and Lydia having a session in which you listen and tell her you're proud of her. Mercedes: and what are you flexible about? Oscar: I'm willing to confess to Lydia my responsibility for our fights and to talk about my role in triangulating you as the bad guy. I never saw that before this therapy, and I feel really bad about it. She should hear that. Okay, Mercedes: okay, I'm glad you feel bad about it. And all of this we will try to resolve before the 70th birthday party, right? Oscar: let's maybe do it this week. Mercedes: you go first, okay? Oscar: yeah, that makes total sense. Mercedes: okay, spit shake. Oscar: spit shake it is. Mercedes and Oscar pretty much stick to the rules and move from attuning to compromising with relative ease. Although they are working through a lot of pain, they hear each other's core needs and agree to meet them. But even with a blueprint as a guide, understanding and compromise can be messy. Couples shouldn't expect to always stay on script or to attune quickly. At their State of the Union meeting, Zach and Judy attempted to reconnect after a mutual meltdown over juggling careers and baby care. The argument occurs when Zach arrives home from a business trip, devastated to hear that their daughter, Carla, took her first steps during his absence. Judy is not sympathetic. She took time off work to stay home all week with Carla. She is exhausted and furious that Zach called only twice. Neither feels appreciated. At times during their State of the Union meeting, they sound like competitors for the Top Victim Award. But in the end, they move beyond their gripes and work it out. Here are some snippets with their thoughts in italics and mine in brackets. Okay, I'm just looking to see how long this is. I think we can make it. This video might be a little longer than the other ones though. Judy: I had it up to here with you being gone all week. I mean, life is tough when you're here, but it's an absolute nightmare when you're gone. Zach: but we have a nanny. You have lots of help when I'm gone. This is a defensive you statement, which is not helpful. Judy: a nanny whose kids had the flu this week and she herself was running a fever, so I couldn't very well have her around the baby, could I? And getting people to cover me when I had to be at work was hell. On the phone, you never once asked about the stress I was under. Zach: Well, you never asked about how my presentation went either. It went fine, thank you. More defensiveness. Judy, I knew you'd do fine, but I wasn't doing fine, was I? I need him to admit that I am suffering while he's off having fun. Zach, but you've cut down on work and I've done exactly the opposite. His thoughts are, I didn't even want to go to the conference, but the contacts were important for my job, which matters to our future. I could use a little appreciation here. So then Zach and Judy get on track and are able to reconnect. Judy, then you come home and you want my attention? What? Zach laughs. It's like having a second baby. So this is him trying to repair. It's a repair attempt. Judy, exactly. So here you see his repair worked. Zach, I can see your point. I remember the time you went to visit your dad when he was sick. I had 2 days alone with Carla and trying to work, and I just about died from all the added stress. Judy, I just wish that while you were gone, you found the time to call so we could have a real conversation and I could tell you how stressed out I was. This is Judy transforming her criticism into a wish. Zach, that's true. I was so busy at the conference that I had very little time to even make the phone calls. But I should have talked to you more. I'm really sorry. Truth is, all the time I was there, I was thinking about you. So here he's expressing appreciation. Judy, I know you were sad because that moment of her walking was really amazing. Here she's expressing empathy. Zach, hearing about it on the phone was not the same as being there. Judy, that's for sure. It was the only good part of the week, though. Zach, I had quite a lot of success at the conference, and I need you to appreciate that I went. Transforming criticism into a wish. Judy, that's a good point. I know you needed to go to do that presentation. I'm really glad you went. Zach, thank you. He's thinking, she finally gets it. This feels good. Judy, but all I could think about was the nightmare I had on my hands, and I thought, here you are, going out for great dinners and grown-up company. All I ate was lean cuisine. I only got 2 showers in a week. Zach, that truly sucks. And you're right, some of those dinners were really great. I just wished you'd have been there. Empathy. Judy, me too, she thinks. He's getting it. Zach, there was a French meal you would have loved, with an amazing chocolate dessert. Judy, yum. Zach, yeah, so I was thinking about how much I'd like to do an overnight at that B&B on Bainbridge Island. Judy, I love that place. Pause. She pauses, but I don't feel comfortable leaving Carla yet. Zach, even for one night? Judy, I guess we could do that. Here she's feeling loved and appreciated again. You know my main complaint, Zach says. And here it's because they haven't had enough intimacy since the baby was born, which is apparently, according to Gottman, is a very, very common thing. Judy, yeah, thanks for being patient with me. Let's do it. So here she thinks, if we spend a weekend away, it will be nice and lower my guilt over the whole lovemaking problem. Zach says, great. In his mind, he's thinking, finally, sex. A major life change, adjusting to parenthood, caused Zach and Judy to disconnect. But they are finding their way back to each other. They now see that their relationship can remain a safe haven, even when they have strong disagreements, if they remember to express appreciation and support each other. Like all couples, they can expect to slip into their nasty boxes on occasion, especially in times of stress. But because they have mastered critical attunement skills, they will be able to pull out before lasting harm is done. So thanks for hanging out with me today. I know this one was a little longer than what we've been doing. If it feels a little stunted or like false or difficult, I think that's right. It is. It really is. And The way he describes it, I mean, he studied people in the laboratory. He coaches people. He's, you know, a master therapist in relationships, has a whole institute of therapists who have been trained on his methods. It's practice. It takes work. So if you're just trying this out on your own, especially if it's just you and your partner's not fully on board, it's going to feel hard. It's going to feel stunted. But I can tell you from personal experience that even if it's just one of you, it does make a difference. It does help. And using these same techniques that Gottman teaches us just overall increases your emotional intelligence quotient, and so helps you have better relationships with everyone, not just your romantic partner, but everyone overall. And this coming to you, right, I've done my studying, I'm here talking at you, but personally, I've succeeded in everything I've ever tried except interpersonal relationships. That's where I typically fell short. And I'm a bit of a book nerd, as you can tell. I like reading. And so Gottman kind of broke it down for me in the 7 principles of making marriage work: what to say, what not to say, and how to better express yourself. And it takes a lot of practice, but the results are just amazing because people react to you differently. And you don't always have to be the person with the right answer. Sometimes feelings are more important because someone needs to feel understood before they're open to any type of advice. So good stuff here. Next video, we will move on to the Gottman Aftermath Kit, healing previous injuries and hurt feelings. And this is pretty much a reiteration of what he's been talking about, the blueprint for constructive conflict. But then it just goes one step further into talking about old wounds, reviving old wounds. So glad to be here with you guys. I guess I'll see you in not 1 video, but 2, because I'm going to be posting one of the Lindsay Gibson videos and 1 of the John Gottman videos until we get through this. It's summertime. It's beautiful. The weather here is nice. It is very hot. We're in Texas. So I hope maybe it's cooler where you are. And we'll talk soon. Take care.